property, the money classes of this country that support the Republican Party so that they can win, because they don't have enough votes, unless they make that nobody else can vote. And to work together so that we can achieve the democracy and the freedom and the justice of which this country so proudly stands. Thank you very much.
Let me just say a word or two about our next award. It is the Edward Kennedy Legacy Tribute Award. We began this about 3 years ago. Our first recipient, of course, was our own Congresswoman, Eleanor Holmes Norton. It's very, very significant to us because we all know the District of Columbia's history with President Kennedy and his brother, Robert, but we really don't have an appreciation of what Teddy was doing when he was in the Senate. And so this is, he was considered the lion of the Senate, the fighter until there was no more energy left. And so this is really important that we recognize another lion, a lion of the laborers, a lion of the working people in the District of Columbia. And so that's what this recognition is about. And so we're going to ask Jocelyn Williams, please come forward to receive this award. And he will be presented by my colleague, Councilmember Charles Allen. Thank you.
Good evening, Democrats. There we go, there we go. All right, this is a short program, I know, but we're doing our best, so thank you all. I am honored to help pinch hit a little bit and help provide the award for one of my favorite Ward 6 constituents, Joss Williams. I do want to take one quick moment before I hit the prepared text, because we've talked about this on the theme a little bit around statehood. And I do want to make sure that we're all given appropriately, I think, a lot of credit and a lot of thanks to our mayor, who's really bringing, I think in her words, a fresh start to our DC statehood movement. Let's give her a big round of applause. You know, earlier today, I had a meeting over at the Capitol, actually, and I was having a great conversation, and I was talking with a couple of folks who work down there. And Ward 6, you know, represents a big part of the city. It's all 4 quadrants of our city, but it also includes Capitol Hill. And so I had this Capitol Hill staffer who was saying to me, gosh, it must be so special. This Capitol Hill neighborhood is right around the Capitol building. Kids get to look up at that dome every day, and they get to see that beautiful building and the rich history of the Capitol. That must be so special. That must be so great. And I was trying to be so polite. I was trying to keep it in a little bit, trying to be polite in my meeting, and I finally just had to let go. And I say, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because we have no voice in that building. So when you say it's a special building to look at, that rubs me a little bit the wrong way, because I think every one of our residents needs to have a full say in what goes on in this building. We don't right now. So I know a lot of people have been talking about the referendum we're going to do in November. I think it's going to pass. I've heard a few concerns. People say, maybe we're rushing it. Maybe we're moving too fast. I am sorry. We have waited long enough. And so, Mayor, I appreciate what you're doing. I stand with you, fully in support. We're going to keep this push going for statehood. I hope everybody in this room is going to join us. So being the Ward 6 council member is a whole lot of fun. Not only do I get to represent our warrior on the Hill, Eleanor Holmes Norton, but I also get to represent our next awardee. Jocelyn Williams became the first African-American president of the Metropolitan Washington Council AFL-CIO in 1982. You may not have wanted me to say that number, Jocelyn. You were a teenager, absolutely. Following years of activism on behalf of workers' rights while employed at the Library of Congress, Joss rose to President AFG Local 1826 President in 1970. That was when he was about 16 years old. From 1972 to 78, Williams served as Executive Director of the American Federation of State and County Municipal Employees, Council 26, which represented over 5,000 employees. During his tenure as president of the Metropolitan Washington Council, AFL-CIO, Williams balanced the interests of the 175 affiliated locals, which represents members from the transportation, telecommunications, healthcare, construction industries, as well as hospitality, entertainment, public utility, and federal and public sectors. I don't think we left anybody out. Today, over 95% of eligible local unions are affiliated. Williams also oversaw the formation of the Council's charitable United Way funded arm, the Community Services Agency, in 1991, and served as the president of its board of trustees. Among these many great accomplishments, Joss has remained a loyal and trusted member of the D.C. Democratic Party and served as a member of the state committee and led the committee with honor as the chair. We truly look forward to his continued commitment as a fighter for the rights of all people for many years to come, and he has promised me he will let me know what's happening in Ward 6 in Southwest. Emboldened with the spirit that the hope still lives, the dream shall never die, we are proud to present the Edward Kennedy Tribute Award to my friend, Joss Williams.
Thank you very much, Council Member. It's an honor to be one of your constituents in the great ward of Ward 6. Southwest was at one time part of Ward 2. Where's Jack? And Jack traded us off to West. What? Where's Jack Evans? Jack Evans traded us off to Ward 6. I'm still trying to figure out what how many future drafts we got for being part of Ward 6. But it's been an honor and it's been really, really a pleasure to be part of Ward 6. We have been embraced and we are just part of a great ward. And thank you very much, Council Member. Let me just use my time. There are 2 points I want to make. And one is, we're talking here about I need to thank you also for your leadership, and I didn't want to mention that we have known each other for over 4 decades. That's correct. That's how long we have known each other. But there are 2 points, brother Democrats, that I really want to make, utilize this time tonight to make. One is that one of the first things that when you're talking and seeking liberation, and when you're talking about slavery, one of the things that those who are oppressed, the first thing that they have got to do is to clear their mind of the oppression and to start and refuse to address themselves in the same manner in which their slave oppressors have addressed them. So tonight, we're all going to forget the titles that our oppressors up on the hill have given us. And I want to start out by saying to our leader, Governor Bowser, Speaker Mendelson, Congresswoman Norton, and to the members of the state legislature of New Columbia.
That's right.
I am honored to be part of the 51st state. Whether or not our oppressors recognize us, we are, and today, under the leadership of our governor, declaring ourselves a sovereign, an independent state of New Colombia. And henceforth, we will no longer address our leaders by the name that our slave masters have given them. We will address them by the same title that the other 50 states have and address their leaders. Correct? So tonight we go forward, recognizing that in November, Governor, we will do the formalities of passing a referendum. But in our minds, we already know who we are, and we already know who you are. And we are proud of the leadership that you have provided to this sovereign state. So tonight we say thank you to our governor, and let us give her a round of applause for the leadership that she provided us. Finally, I just want to say, I want to thank the Democratic Party for the decades of partnership that you have given to the organized labor community in this city. This party has been the backbone of the kind of progressive leadership that we have seen in this city. And I want the Democratic Party of the District of Columbia, while you're giving kudos to everybody, is I want to give you a kudo for the kind of grassroots operations that we run, and for the leadership that you have provided, where we have a solid Democratic majority in our state legislature. And the only reason why we don't have 13 out of 13 is because our oppressors have determined that they will not have a full 13-member Democratic state legislature. But I want to commend you, and I want tonight to pledge to you on behalf of the new leadership of organized labor, to the governor, to our congresswoman, and to our state legislature, that that partnership that has existed between organized labor and the Democratic Party will continue and will endure, no matter who the leadership is in the state committee or in the organized labor. So I want to salute you for all the great work that you have done with organized labor, and we look forward. On behalf of my new executive director, and if I might just take a moment, Carlos, will you please stand and be recognized as the new executive director of organized labor. But the partnership, Governor, will endure, will continue, and we will be with you. And the minimum wage, $15, and we don't want it 5 for 15. I make one slight amendment. We don't want to wait until 2020. We want 15 now. When do we want it? When do we want it? Thank you all. Bless you. And let's go out and work for a Democratic president in 2017.
We all have been waiting for this, and that's an opportunity for us to hear from our warrior on the Hill. Eleanor Holmes Norton has not only served us well, she has been the one fixture that all the other members of Congress have been able to talk to, and she has been able to calm them down and move them to the center when it's necessary, remembering that we are in a situation where we must become free. And she has fought the battle and will continue to fight the battle, but we thought it was appropriate that she be recognized now. And so Charles Gaither, the longest serving, this is real this time, the longest serving member of the Modern State Committee will make the presentation. So let's give Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton a big round of applause. And since we're talking electoral politics, this is the candidate. She will always bring in at least 92% of the vote. Okay? Be clear. This is the leader. All right, come on forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a proud alumni of the University of D.C., and I have to acknowledge my Professor Cora Masters here, who's over here to my right and my left. Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much. Since 1991, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton has represented the citizens in the district in the United States Congress with distinction and honor. Currently, in her 13th term, Congresswoman Norton is the ranking member of the House Subcommittee on Highways and Transit and serves on the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform and the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. Of course, we know her history of fighting for justice and equality started many years before that. She is a national civil rights and feminist leader. As a young lady, she was instrumental with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Council and was appointed by President Jimmy Carter as the first woman ever to chair the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Congresswoman Norton's accomplishments in breaking barriers for our disempowered district is matched by her success in bringing home social and economic benefits to all of her constituents. Her work for full congressional voting representation and D.C. statehood for the people of the District of Columbia continues her lifelong struggle for universal human and civil rights. This and much more is why we are pleased to recognize this outstanding. Yes.
Speak up, because I don't think they're hearing you.
Sure, excuse me. May I have your attention on the right, please? May I have your attention, please? Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
This is why we will recognize her as the Warrior on the Hill.
That's right.
With the Democratic Lifetime Achievement Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. My goodness. I tell you,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
please sit down. I haven't been in a room with so many Democrats I love since I was in a subcommittee of the Democratic Caucus of the Congress of the United States. I don't have anything but humility at this award. I can only say first to the chair of our party how much I appreciate you have completely revived Kennedy's King to bring the Democrats of our city together again. You couldn't have chosen a better year to do it. My friends, to receive any award from the people I represent would be, for me, something to treasure. But I just want to say to you, as a person who has been able to take full advantage of the times in which I have lived, from my time as a girl in segregated Washington, which I most resented, to being just the age to become a young student at the time of the birth of the civil rights movement, to the time when we finally understood that African Americans weren't the only people denied their rights, and the feminist movement was born. the many lifetimes I have had, I am grateful for. But this evening I have to tell you, there is no opportunity for which I have been more grateful and continue to be more grateful than the opportunity that this third generation Washingtonian, the great-granddaughter of a slave who left a plantation in Virginia and made his way to the District of Columbia and wanted only his freedom and never dared to dream that he would have a great-granddaughter who would be given the most exalted privilege of all, the privilege to represent the city to which he had fled. I can only thank you for that award.
All right, let's give the Congresswoman a round of applause. Now, I know that we have paraded before you our celebrities, our leadership, our Democratic leadership, but there are an additional group of Democratic leaders that we want to bring to your attention now. These are our grassroots leaders, grassroots in the sense that these are the individuals that toil month, day, week after week on our behalf in their neighborhoods, fashioning and trying to implement the democratic principles and trying to galvanize their neighbors and their friends to become more active, more engaged, more involved, help with voter registration, help with fundraisers. By the way, we're going to do a big fundraiser here soon, 1,000 person fundraiser, and our leadership will be with us to pull this together, and you can pay from $5.51 to $5,551. We'll give you more details later, but I just thought I'd put that commercial in now so you know it's coming in June, okay? And we know what June means, right? Mayor Bowser? All right, and you can sport your little, I can't sport a thing because I'm a party chair, but Mayor Bowser is sporting something. She's showing you something. So now you understand what we'll be doing. Anyway, that's the closest I can get to the issue, but now I'd like to ask my, the ward Democratic leaders to come forward so that we can do honors to our outstanding ward Democrats. Please come forward. And we're going to start with the Ward 1, Stanley Mays. Please come forward. Ward 8, Honorable Arrington Dixon. And of course, for many of you who maybe don't know, Honorable Arrington Dixon once was the chair of our state legislature, okay? All right? And so he said, I'm reinventing myself. I'm going to be where the people are and where the voices are, and I can hear them every day. So he's now quite busy with his enterprise, but he's working very hard in the Ward 8. Ward 6, Councilmember, who's presenting Ward 6? All right. Mr. Berger, you're going to come forward. Ward 5, Ward 5 Chair, Ronnie. Oh, all right. Okay, well, let's get started. Ward 1, come forward.
Good evening. I'm Tanya Jackson. I'm the chair of Ward 1 Dems. I'm very, very pleased to give this award to our longest serving Democrat, who has coming up on 25 years. I just said to someone else in the room that Stanley Mays is Mr. Ward 1. He's always reliable, always there when we need him, always a supporter of the party, always there with a ready question, with a ready participation, ready to fight for Democrats, and so we are really pleased to be able to honor him this evening.
Well, thank you, Democrats, and I do appreciate the opportunity to be recognized, but this is a group effort, and I think everybody in here ought to be receiving these awards, because the party is built by everyone and not by one. And so I'm honored to be just the face of it for this movement.
Ward 8. And is Charles Wilson here? We can do it. We can do this. All right. It is my esteemed pleasure, privilege, and honor to recognize one of our strongest colleagues in the fight for not just statehood, but for general recognition as a party, the National Committee Man for the District of Columbia, and also recognized by Ward 8 as the Outstanding Democrat of the Year.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Steve. First, I know we want to be brief. Good evening, Democrats. Good evening. First, thank you for Democrats from my ward, Ward 8. You know, everything is local in politics. So Ward 8 is very important to me. But I'm also concerned about all of our Democrats in this city, and we're going through some tough times with great leadership, Madam Mayor, to transition a lot of things east of the river that we need to keep our eyes on. I also want to recognize all the other Democratic leaders here, and again, it's good to be part of the group being recognized. Some of you may or may not know, but I'm spending a lot of time as a National Committee man working with Hillary's campaign, not at any high level, but I've been to at least 4 of the first primary states, and I go and I knock on doors and I show up like a volunteer, not like a special person, because I'm really not. But I knock and make more, I deliver as many packages as anybody else, and I do that, and I enjoy it. And we got past South Carolina, and I thought she was on the march, and I believe that's true. So we've got to move on, those of us who are with the burn, which we've all felt, and start taking the hill.
That's right.
We got to take the hill to the high ground.
That's right.
And I hope all of you will help move from the burn to taking the hill. Thank you very much. And also, don't forget, you got to give money. I've been trying to raise $5s, and I have my own button, but I've been trying to raise a little money because all of us need to participate. And $1 is a commitment, and that's what we also need. Thank you very much. Thank you for this. I got to say one thing. You know, when I was on the council for Ward 4, a lot of my legislation was not targeted at Ward 4. Because Ward 4, we do pretty well. We did pretty well. But the felony legislation to let felons vote, that's my legislation in the 70s. That was not for Ward 4. The victims of crime legislation was not for Ward 4. And the postcard voter registration, which we started, was not for Ward 4, though we used all of those things. So from the very beginning, as a child growing up in Anacostia and going into politics, Ward 8 was always on my mind and east of the river. And it will always be that way. Thank you.
Ward 7?
Good evening, fellow Democrats. I'm Lee Wilson. I'm the at-large committee man and past chair of Ward 7 Dems. Just want to say hello to all my Ward 7 people. Yvette, got your table over there. Our chair could not be here tonight, Ed Patillo. He had an illness, so he is unable to be here. So he has asked me to represent him and present our honoree for tonight. And in good Ward 7 fashion, we like to do things the way of grassroots, real grassroots. Therefore, I'd like to introduce Miss Rachel Pope. She is very active in Ward 7. She I think she's probably, on our way over here, I rode over here with her. I think she's missed one Ward 7 Democrat meeting in the past 10, 15 years. So she's a true trooper and member of Ward 7 Dems, a number of other activities in Ward 7, and we are very proud to honor her tonight. Ms. Rachel Pope.
I want to thank Ward 7. I want to thank Ward 7. Let's put it up there. Thank you. I want to thank Ward 7 for honoring me because I've been in Ward 7 since 1960. All right. And I've been working in there doing different things in Ward 7, trying to help them with the voting and everything when people come in to vote. I like to help them. And if an older person come in, they can't walk, I run out there to the car and see if they can come in or not. And if they can't come in, I always get somebody to run out there and take the ballots for them. And so I do a lot in Ward 7 and different things. And I'm glad to be honored tonight.
Ward 6, David Meadows is the honoree.
Good evening again, Democrats. It is my honor to recognize somebody who just recently moved into Ward 6. He's brand new to the DC Democratic State Committee. David is somebody who has been really, when I think about the DC Democratic State Committee, right next to Anita Bonds, I think David Meadows. David is somebody who has spent a lot of time working hard for Democrats across our city, and not just the city, but really the entire area, and frankly, sometimes across the nation. David is somebody who lives and breathes our Democratic Party. He upholds the values and what we treasure, and he's somebody who puts the work in, puts his shoulder to the wheel, and when he picks a candidate or a cause, he works incredibly hard for that. And I'm really proud to know him. I'm really proud to help recognize him tonight. And David, congratulations. And I think it's a well-deserved honor, so please welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's true. You know, some of us are a little off balance because we enjoy this politic, but we care for our causes. And I had dark hair in 1996 when I got involved with this Democratic Party. And I have to thank the late Richard Rausch for being my mentor. And I have to thank Councilmember Anita Bonds, who has she's my rock, and we can always rely on her leadership, and truly, thank you. Also, I have to acknowledge my co-parts, Miss Amy O'Ketty, Miss Sheila White, and Mr. Ron Collins, because we're a team and we work well together and we represent our ward well together. You know, from LGBT politics to labor politics to all issues I've been involved with, it has been humbling to get some acknowledgement. But as we head into this election, you know, we have our Republican Party tearing each other apart. We have Speaker Boehner calling candidates Satan. And we have, you know, just the Republican Party is in a shambles. But do not rest on laurels, because they will come back together so fast. By September, they will be reunited, and we have to stay united. And we have to get people to the polls, because when Democrats vote, Democrats win. So thank you, and let's vote.
Ward 5, and then Ward 3. Ward 5, if you would come forward. Grace Lewis is the honoree.
Good evening, Democrats. All right. This is indeed a distinguished moment for me. This is indeed a distinguished moment for me to recognize someone who needs no introduction. Everybody know her. Yeah, I heard somebody say somebody was Mr. Democrat. Well, this must be Miss Democrat. Everywhere I go, everything I do, she manages all campaigns. She is just into it. She is a person that will not rest until the job is done. She is a person that when I started to talking about the Democratic State Committee wanted the Ward 5 Dems to recognize someone at this event. Before I could get finished speaking, a motion came from the floor. We nominate Grace Lewis. Great. So without debate, we voted on it. I want to ask the Ward 5 Dems, everybody from Ward 5 Dems, to stand up. I want to turn the mic over to our council member, and he will finish it out.
I'm going to finish it out briefly, but I'm going to take a quick pause to make sure that you heard what our chair of the Ward 5 Dems just said. No. If you're from Ward 5 and you're a Dem, stand up. That's right. There we go. Councilman Orange. You got to come up here and join us. Madam Chair. And I'm sure you all have been around for a really long time, but just in case you didn't know, this is how Ward 5 rolls. All right, so I want to also congratulate our honoree, Miss Grace Lewis, who quite frankly sets a standard for what a good Ward 5 Democrat should be. She's been committed, unwavering commitment to Ward 5, to the Democratic Party, not only as a participant, but also as an advisory neighborhood commissioner, as a civic association president, and she's done it and really led the way for folks like me. I stand on the shoulders of people like Grace Lewis, Anita Bonds, and a lot of the folks from Ward 5 who are out here today. So I wanted to come up here to congratulate her, obviously, and join my colleagues in saying thank you so much for all that you do, Ms. Lewis. Now, I don't know why they gave me the mic now, because, you know, I get all fired up. Democrats, are we fired up and ready to go? Are we fired up and ready to go? All right, let's do this. It's about working families. It's about doing a great thing. And let's give our mayor another round of applause for a fresh start in the right direction, leaving no one behind and taking no one for granted. We're going to have a better the nation's capital, but at the end of the day, we must take care of our young people. Like I say, you can touch a rock, you touch the past. You can touch a flower, you touch the present. But if you touch that child, you touch the future, and that's what it's all about. Fired up and ready to go. Democrats forever. Democrats, Democrats, Democrats.
Good evening, Democrats. I am indeed honored to be recognized by my colleagues in Ward 5 for this award. And I must say, they have already said a lot of things, and sometimes I wonder who they're talking about. But anyway, I'm here to do what I can for the Democratic Party, and in particular Ward 5. In particular Ward 5, because we know that we have to vote. We must know to vote. So right now, I'm gearing up to get Ward 5 folks to the polls. We have precinct captains that will be recognized throughout the election process. And I'm working with Councilmember Vincent Orange to get him reelected. But like David said, the Republican Party may be in shambles now, but they will come back strong. So I was reading in the Post today how they are beginning to come together behind their leading candidate. We cannot rest on our laurels thinking that we're going to win. We got to contact folks in our relatives, people in other states, people in other cities, and get them to the polls to vote, because we have to win this election and get Hillary in the White House.
Ward 3. And the honoree is Ann Lykow.
Hello everyone, I'm Debbie Shore and I'm the chair of the Ward 3 Democrats. And before we honor Ann, I would really like to acknowledge that we have 2 tables of Ward 3 Democrats here, and would you all please stand? Yeah, all right. All right, we have another table in Ward 3, and I want to acknowledge that Hugh Allen helped us to have an entire table which we are dedicating to Hillary, to the Hillary campaign. So there we go. And for many of you who have been working tirelessly on the issues of statehood for years, you do not have to be introduced to Ann Lykow, because she has been putting that issue in front of any group that she's involved in since the early 70s. And certainly in terms of Ward 3, she never lets us forget the importance of any of what we are doing, along with making sure that we're working towards statehood. We are all so pleased that there's going to be a statehood referendum that we can all work on and make sure gets passed soon. But first, let us honor Ann Lykow for all of her work. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the Ward 3 Democratic Committee for this honor and the honor of working with all of you. And I hope you will all leave tonight understanding that the last line of that pledge that you gave at the beginning of this dinner does not apply to us. Because what we don't have is liberty. And liberty is the right to self-government from which everything else flows, whether it's representation in Congress, legislative autonomy, state autonomy, budget autonomy, equal rights, voting rights. Without statehood, we are colonists and we have no freedom, we have no liberty. And the way to get it is to get Congress to pass a single law admitting New Columbia as the 51st state. And I want to urge every one of you, the best thing you can do to make that happen is talk to all your friends, family, co-workers who live in a state. Educate them about the status of the District of Columbia and get them to talk to their senators and congressperson, because when they hear from constituents that this is a national issue and a stain on the democracy of the United States that has been recognized and castigated internationally, that they need to make us the 51st state, and it is not a partisan issue, it is an American issue, and we need all your help to make it happen. Thank you.
Ward 2? Patrick Kennedy is recognized as the Ward 2 Democrat.
Good evening, fellow Democrats. My name is Patrick Allen. I'm chairman of Ward 2 Dems. And it's been my pleasure over the years to work with a number of outstanding young Democrats. So, would you please come to order? Chairman Wilson, I want you to come to order. Several years ago, one of my colleagues on the Ward 2 Democrats said, I have a man you need to meet. He's a student at George Washington University, and I think he's going to be an outstanding leader. I said, well, okay, who is this guy? He said, well, his name is Patrick Kennedy. I said, well, that's a good Democratic name, so I'm happy to meet him. So we met, and we had lunch, and I invited him to join the Ward 2 Democrats. Since then, he's become our treasurer. He's also our committee man. And I can say that of the young Democrats I worked with over the years, I've never met one who was more bright, more energetic, more dedicated to the Democratic Party. He's a present leader of the Democrats, and I'm sure he's going to be an even bigger leader in the future. So I'm proud to give this award to Patrick Kennedy.
Well, thank you, Pat. I appreciate the recognition. As a young person, it's great to have the opportunity to serve both my ward and the city and to make such an impact, hopefully, at a young age. But I just want to, in particular, thank the great people that I work with. Sherry Kimball, on the Ward 2 Democrats, Pat Allen, and those who could not be here tonight. I'm tremendously privileged to be part of a great group of elected officials in the ward, our Councilmember Jack Evans, my fellow ANC Chair Nicole Mann, among others. But I'm grateful for the recognition, humbled to have the opportunity. Thank you.
All right. And of course, last but not least, we have Ward 4 Democrats. And come on, Ward 4 Democrats. And accompanying the Ward 4 Democratic Chair, Ms. Nelson, is, I guess, someone that seemingly the whole room knows very well, although he represents Ward 4, and that's the great council member from the greatest Ward 4, Brandon Todd.
Well, I think we saved the best for last, Ward 4. Well, I'm really delighted to be here tonight to represent the 52,000 plus Democrats that call Ward 4 home, to acknowledge one of our very own, Dr. Jerome Page, for the work that he's done for the Democratic Party in Ward 4. For 8 years, he served as our Ward 4 Democrats nominating chairperson. Now he currently serves as the chairperson for our Education Committee. So I'm delighted to be joined here by the leadership of the Ward 4 Democrats. Let's give them a big round of applause. And to accept the award on behalf of Dr. Page is the best Ward Democratic Chair in all 8 wards of the District of Columbia, Ms. Candace Tiana Nelson, who will accept the award on behalf of Dr. Jerome Page.
member. That's our immediate past president of the Ward 4 Democrats, by the way. Big shoes to follow, I have. So honored to be here tonight to accept this award for Jerome Page. He's so deserving. There's so much I could say about him, like he likes yoga. But more importantly, he is a great Democrat. And as the council member has said, he's been our committee chair in the Ward 4 Democrats for the past, he's been our nominations committee chair for the past 8 years. He's currently serving as our education chair, working hard in the 2 high schools that we have to get us scholarships, awardees for our Ethel Delaney Lee dinner. We're so proud of him. Unfortunately, he had a family emergency tonight and he couldn't be here. But this is for Jerome Page and all of our leadership. We're so proud of him. Thank you.
The DC Democratic State Committee has a few what we call affiliate organizations. These are freestanding Democratic organizations, but they have representation and a vote on the Central Committee or the State Committee, as we dubbed ourselves. And so I would like to ask the Latino caucus to come forward, and their honoree, Arturo Griffin. The Gertrude Stein Democratic Club, which, by the way, was the first affiliate to the Democratic State Committee. I'd like to ask Earl Folks, the chairperson of the Gertrude Stein, to come forward. And then, and the honoree, as you can see in your program, and then, of course, the DC Federation of Democratic Women. If they would come forward, presented by Hazel Thomas, and their honoree, Dr. Mary Ivy. If you all would join us on the stage at this time. And we'll start with the Latino caucus. So, Latino caucus, please. Okay, if you're presenting,
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is not going to be too long. We're almost there, so you can do some socializing. I know President Mason just left, but wanted to remind him that there's some folks out there wearing my immigrant advocate hat that young people that want to come into UDC, but because of the prohibitive cost, we're not able to do that. So we want the DC Council to be sure and pass the Dream Act so that our young people can come out here. Anyway, just real quick, I'm so honored to that we're recognizing a long-standing member of our community. Arturo Griffin has been a Washingtonian since the early 60s, and he's worked tirelessly as an activist, working a lot with the immigrant community, but really with everybody, really. And he is just such an inspiration to us. He's been named by, worked on various commissions for our city, has worked within the Latino caucus, and has just done so much great advocate work for all of us here. So we're just so honored to be able to present him with a distinguished award. Thank you so much, Arturo.
¡Viva el Partido Demócrata! ¡Viva el Partido Demócrata! All right. Viva the great Democratic Party. This is a great city for everybody, even for the immigrants who are coming in. We get an opportunity here in the city and we can move forward. The immigrant community, particularly the Latino community, is becoming part of the Democratic Party. It's a force inside the Democratic Party, and it's going to grow. It's going to grow locally and naturally. We are making a difference in the country, and we're going to push in a democratic way to make sure that we move forward in this country and change things that need to be changed. I am very happy that the Latino caucus and the Democratic Party gave us this award. I'm going to take it to the community, and they're going to be very happy. Compañeros, thank you for this beautiful award. We all need to be together as one community, one Democratic Party, one community. We're going to move forward. Thank you.
Now the Gertrude Stein Democratic Club, they're already on the stage to make their presentation.
Thank you very much. My name is Earl Folks. I'm the president of the Gertrude Stein Democratic Club. We represent the LGBT Democrats in the District of Columbia. And I have with me the founder of this club, one of the founders, Paul Kunstler, who's going to say something about our designated awardee, Jerry Clark. First of all, I want to say that it is so important for us to include the LGBT community, and we are appreciative of that. We are welcomed in the Democratic Party here. I'm the chair of the LGBT caucus of the Democratic National Committee, and I interact with a lot of different states. And many of them would be very happy to be in a room that's so diverse and so inclusive. And I want to thank the Democratic Party and our chair for making certain that we have a space and a seat here in our party. This is the Democratic Party, and it's a Big Tent, and you guys proved it is the Big Tent, and I thank you for that. Jerry Clark was a long-time member, and many things have been said about him today. But Jerry Clark is one of those rare individuals who can move between different communities and be respectful of the communities that he moved within. And we appreciate all the work that Jerry Clark has done to build the LGBT caucus, the Gertrude Stein Club, the statehood. Jerry also was one of the movers in including LGBT participation in the Martin Luther King Day Parade. Jerry was an extraordinary man, and we are so honored to have had him in our presence. And we accept the award on his behalf, and we'll make sure his family receives it. Thank you very much for your inclusion. Thank you very much for being good Democrats, and we will continue to work within our country to make certain that DC becomes sustained. Thank you very much.
Good evening. For those of you who might remember, I first served on the Democratic State Committee beginning in 1979. The Gertrude Stein Democratic Club was founded in my living room in January of 1976, and I have lived in Washington since Thursday, December 28, 1961. Thank you. I'm Paul. I've been around a long time.
And now the DC Federation of Democratic Women. Just so you know, the National Federation of Democratic Women has 2 seats. You better mind yourself. 2 seats on the Democratic National Committee. So this is not a fly-by-night group. If you're a woman in the District of Columbia, this is also an organization for you. All right, now I've done the commercial for the...
Thank you.
That's my girl.
Madam Governor,
you know I look for her every time.
members of Congress, members and guests, and we're so grateful for that commercial. The DC Democratic Women's, the DC Federation of Democratic Women, could you all please stand? Make yourself known. Now, thank you. here tonight to honor one of our long-standing members. Okay, guys, look, I know you can't hear me. Could you please just chill just a wee bit, just a little bit? Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We stand on the shoulders of this great lady, and she's one of the original members of our federation, an outstanding advocate for people in general, but women in particular, particularly an advocate against violence against women. And she has done great things in our community, in our churches, and throughout Washington, D.C. I just want to say one thing about our honoree, Reverend Dr. Mary Ivy. She has been on the forefront a long time, advocating and trying to empower women in public health, in mental